Thanks for watching Guns and Watches. Probably seeing this on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, although it's kind of a ghost town on Facebook. Please like, subscribe, give a comment, thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me know you're out there. This is a nifty new hobby I have, sharing my life experiences, talking about masculinity, talking about nice stuff. And today I'm talking about an almost 20-year-old wristwatch that I bought in Europe in 2006. Can you believe this thing is 20 years old? Look at it. I've got my Mr. Peabody, my magnifying glass out. I'll get you guys get a good look at this guy. Look how nice this thing is for being almost 20 years old. It gets better because I did not treat this like jewelry. I bought this watch with my old school ideas of a wristwatch. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, we needed wristwatches and we had to wear them in order to be places on time. And we just generally, Gen X kid has a watch, wears it, doesn't think much about it. That's how I treated this. For 12 years, 10 years, I wore this watch as I traveled the country and even abroad as a field service engineer. I was a traveling technician carried a tool bag, computer bag, worked trade shows, worked at customers' labs with tools, going through security, going through the airport. And if I worked on something electrical, I would take this off so that way I wouldn't arc something, because it is a hunk of steel. And I would put it in my pocket sometimes when I was doing heavy lifting, and I just wore it like you would wear a wristwatch, not a piece of jewelry. And my goodness, this thing looks good. I'll give you some fair warning that I did take a Ryobi rotary tool and brush this thing up recently because I had a couple of big scuffs in it, but it brushed up really nice, don't you think? So here's the history, is that I bought this because it reminded me of something my dad owned when I was a boy. And all I knew about this watch, I didn't know any of the watch stuff that I've learned in the past few months, was that if you wore it, it would keep going. So this is not an automatic. This is called a kinetic. I guess the minute hand's in the way there. It's a Seiko Kinetic, which is why I have the meter leads and the diagram of a generator out. This is the coolest watch technology, and it kind of got smoked out by the solar watches, by the EcoDrive, because the EcoDrive kind of does the same thing without moving parts. This watch runs on a quartz movement, and it uses the power of a rotor inside the watch to charge as a generator, which charges a capacitor. Capacitors are electronic components that store DC current and pass AC current. They're electronic components used to make pulses, and the most common one that you would think of if from a household is your AC unit, your outside AC unit. A heat pump has a big old capacitor in it, a big one about the size of your fist, to get the motor running, because it takes a lot of voltage, it takes a lot of energy to start a big motor running, and then your wall current could take care of it from there, or your shore power. So this watch works off of that principle. It has a rotor, and you can see how the generator here, this right here would be the rotational piece in the watch, which you can hear. And that's charging the bad boy up. And right on time, if I hit this button, it goes down to the 6 o'clock. That's telling me the capacitor is fully charged. I wore this watch 10, 12 years, had no idea what this button was for. I knew if I pushed it that the second hand would move. So what happens is the second hand moves down to the 6 o'clock position from the noon to tell you it's fully charged. If it's not fully charged, it'll stop at the 4 or it'll stop at the 2. And that'll tell you how much charge the battery has, the battery / capacitor has, if you just leave it alone, if you don't move the watch. And you can see it takes off once the seconds catch up to it. So can you imagine that some Japanese engineer invented that inside of this thin, nifty, beautiful piece of jewelry, that there's actually a generator in there that works off of the movement of your arm. Very, very, very cool. So we're going to take a look at some measurements here, because I have calipers out. This is a 40 millimeter case. Oh, I think I'm missing. I am not hitting it right. Well, it's saying 41 today, but it's actually, did I zero it? Zeroed out. Normally if I go here to here, it comes out 40. There's a 40 millimeter case, but if you come down to the watch face, it is right about 30 millimeters of watch face. And that's because it tapers up. And that's good. All this is polished and very soft steel. I did not polish the side of this bracelet. I know the watch reviewer people will really be hard on Seiko's hardware, but I don't get it. This watch is 20 years old, and I treated it like it was a cigarette lighter. I treated it like it was a chapstick. I just threw this thing around, and this is a big, huge stamp of positivity for the Seiko brand and why I am really loyal to Seiko, despite the story I'm going to tell you in a minute. But after about 10, 12 years of wearing this, it broke. It stopped running. And because I was a kid of the 80s and 90s, where we would have Timex or Ironman watches that were, $30 or whatever. And when they stopped, you throw them away, you go get a new one. Well, right about that time is when cell phones took over the job of timekeeping. And so I just never got another watch. This thing sat on my desk, got kicked around in boxes through different moves and, cleaning the house and whatever. It just stayed out in the elements, not outside, of course, indoors. And then I bought this guy. I was at a mall here in the States, and I love showing off this bracelet. It's so cool. This coming together, if you have any type of OCD, this is going to make you feel good twice a day. Once when you put it on and once when you take it off. But the Seiko Presage, and it's as much of a rube as I was. This is an automatic, and if you wear it, it's got a rotor, and right, same technology. No, it's not the same technology. This is a quartz watch that has an electrical current inside of it. This watch is not a quartz watch. It's purely mechanical, and it runs off a spring. And let's calibrate just for fun, just because I have the tool out. 41.5. This is a beast, but you could see how the times have changed because the watch face fills up the case as opposed to this one, which tapers up. But it died. It was on my desk, and when I saw this Presage at the mall, I'm like, hey, that looks like my old watch. So I purchased it, and it doesn't keep time anything close to what this guy keeps time. So I started checking it, and it was losing 30, 40 seconds a day. After I wore it for 2 years, it started to perform poorly, and I sent it back to Seiko for service, which was a chore. If you guys buy Seiko, make sure you keep your original receipt. Otherwise, you're going to have to go with them hand in hand begging. But Seiko did honor the warranty, and it was bought at a department store, and I did have a receipt, and it was under warranty, and they did ultimately fix it. But it still loses a few seconds a day. Where a quartz watch isn't going to do that at all. But in the process, I learned that this is still serviceable. Now, this is another huge boon for Seiko, is that this 20-year-old piece is still serviceable after all this time. But because of the ordeal I went through with Seiko's customer service, I actually had the old watch serviced by a local jeweler, and they had to order the capacitor, and it's back in action. And that's 20 years with 8 years of doing nothing. This watch is just absolutely fabulous. My total favorite. Glad my wife can't hear that because I have more than one watch. I got a collection now, and I absolutely adore this Seiko totally. And I really like the electronics in it, the engineering part of it, the reliability part of it. Really not a downside. I do understand, I've looked online that these are not in production anymore and haven't been for a while, but you can still buy this technology for under $200. So if you want something that's going to last forever, that is just super cool and something that a tradesperson should wear, something that somebody who's really into engineering, maybe somebody who's a hobbyist of RC cars or radio control aircraft or something, this is up our alley. Totally, because it's got tiny little magnets in there and coils, and it is just super duper cool. I hope you enjoyed the video here, and I think I'm probably going to use this as the main screen of it, because I think putting something that's 20 years old under an actual magnifying glass, I just cannot believe how poorly I treated this piece for how long, and that it is something that's fine jewelry, and it still holds up the test of time. I purchased it for 350 euros in Europe, which actually comes up to about $550 US today. So in the time, it was in the same exact segment as the Presage. The Presage runs about $525, $550 wherever you may get it. I was fortunate not to have to pay list because my wife works at a department store and she got me a discount. But that's about what a guy should be paying for a watch. A guy who has a wife and kids and a household income anywhere between $100,000 and $200,000 a year, you should be between $500 and $1,000 on a wristwatch. I don't know what these watch reviewers are talking about entry level. It's a complete insult. It's a complete insult. You're talking about an entry level watch. You would never walk up to somebody who has an Acura TL or a Lexus IS and say, "Oh, that's a nice entry level luxury car, isn't it?" You would never say that. It was completely offensive. This is right here telling you why that is not true. This is not entry level. This is a destination. This is a destination watch because it's 20 years later and it still looks fabulous and it still runs perfectly, and it's made by Seiko. Seiko is pure quality, pure accessibility, and I am doing this as a hobby and just a guy who likes Seiko. I have others. I have Tissot. I have Citizen. I think there's another one floating around the house too. I'm not sold totally on Seiko. They do have some drawbacks. One of which is the accuracy specification of this watch has a 4R35 movement in it, and you could drive a truck through that spec. So I will be putting videos together to talk about the specifications and the testing and the more of the technical side of this from somebody who knows how to use a multimeter. So I hope you tune in for that. Please like, share, subscribe, and let me know you're out there. And thank you for watching Guns and Watches.